We're going to move into a segment of the show. It's a new segment that we're starting. Actually, we started it last show last year, and we're going to continue it on. We're at the end of the show. We're actually going to, I guess, call it kind of go off script a little bit, and yeah, kind of shoot the bull. Just Mike and I talk about these issues. We have gotten some feedback about tying, let's say, politics. We've already mentioned it here a couple times into our business coverage. We think it's important. We are seeing kind of a new administration come in. They have a different way of dealing with companies, with manufacturing in particular, we're seeing so far, that we have probably not seen. You're the history guy. When was the last president that ever kind of bare-knuckled business?
Oh my gosh. I mean, tariffs of this nature have really not existed for a long, long time. I mean, early 20th century.
Okay.
I mean, the Republican administrations of the 1920s were very pro-business, very low regulatory environment, and very protectionist in a way, very isolationist. So yeah, 80 years, 90 years, long time.
Well, we want to get more into this, and we're going to have coverage like this, this commentary section, which we're going into right now, as our shows roll on. So you're going to see more of this. If you've got any comments about this, feel free to shoot them at us. We do think it's important. Most of our viewers are in manufacturing, and so a lot of what we're going to see, we believe, in the incoming administration is a lot of focus on manufacturing. Yes. Trump has made that a big part of his campaign, bringing jobs back to America, and he's doing and saying a lot of things that we think are important to cover. So you will see some of this work its way into the show. We think it's necessary for our audience. So. Regarding your question, do you think, carrot and stick and imposing, as Trump said, he said he was going to impose really stiff tariffs on Toyota for bringing cars into manufactured outside of America into America. What do you think of that?
To me, I don't think that's ever the way to go. I mean, I think that there's a place for that. There's certainly industries you need to protect as much as you can that are vital. But I mean, the free hand of the market has worked for hundreds of years, and I mean, I think that ultimately you've got to make it as easy for the consumers in your country to purchase those products. And tariffs are only going to be passed on in terms of higher prices to those people. If you want a Toyota Corolla and you have to pay an extra $1,000 because of the money it took for Toyota to bring it into the country, well, you may choose a different car, or most likely, if you really want a Corolla, you're going to pay for that Corolla. And either the consumer or the dealer is going to have to take the hit on that. So, and probably both to a certain extent. So I don't think tariffs really work long term. I think ultimately it's going to hurt the people you're intending to help, which is the American consumer and the American manufacturers and the dealers that sell that stuff to the people, because there's costs that are going to cascade through the system from doing that, I think.
Well, I mean, there have been examples, and I can think of one in the past where, and this was a very specific tariff for a very specific industry, and that was Harley Davidson. And remember, exactly. Back in the 80s, Harley was floundering for a lot of reasons, part of it because they were making crap motorcycles, frankly, at the time.
Right.
But they were being eaten alive by the Japanese. Yes. And so there was I think it was a 50%, that's a huge tariff on Japanese bikes coming into the country. And it was that and a bunch of management changes and other changes, organizational changes to Harley, but it did help bring Harley back into the fold, and you might be able to make the argument they might not have survived if it weren't for that it was a short-term tariff, but it might not have survived if it weren't for that.
It was a breathing space. It was a breathing space. It wasn't intended to be an ongoing policy where every time a Japanese bike was brought into the country forever, there was going to be this huge tariff, because ultimately that would drive the Japanese out of the market, and there'd be less choice for the customers. People would pay more for Harleys and Harley wouldn't have been forced to improve, and they would have paid more for a substandard bike. I mean, market forces exist for good reason, and I think that if you let that roll, you're going to generally be better off than trying to protect it and control it within reason. I mean, there's some industries, steel was another good example, where you need to have some protections in place because it's vital to the country and the success of the country.
So the upshot is you feel carrot is more important than stick?
Yes, I think carrot is more important than stick. And the other thing I think is that, a little off topic, is I think this focus on manufacturing, I know we obviously have a manufacturing base. I mean, service jobs to me are more important, or at least as important. And what is this administration doing to foster more small business, more service jobs, more jobs that align with the future of work that's more automated, as opposed to turning screws? I mean, we got to do it all. We
Yeah.
want to give as many job opportunities to American workers as we can, but there's a lot more beyond manufacturing that should be considered here.
Well, some of the business regulations that Trump wants to roll back should end up helping small business as well.
Sure.
One would assume. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
That's right. We're going to find out.
All right.